Who have we got? It's Couch Coop. And what have we got? Local co-op games. PS4 Legacy. What was that? We are starting off with Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I'm trying to span most of the genres in this video. Beat 'em ups, shoot 'em ups, racers, platformers, we got it all here. And of course we do have Ramona, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead in the original film. Let's just get her out the way early doors. Jesus. And this game is being sequeled. I will put some information about that in the description. That will 100% be PS5, and that is the angle of this entire list. PS4 games that are all being played on a PS5 that never made it to the SSD. This is HD all the way, baby. That did not sound cringe at all. There is a pile-on mechanic. That's not a reference to the Protoss. The enemy will jump on you, cause this big mound of bodies that you bust out of. It's quite cool. Scott Pilgrim vs. World has quite an interesting backstory with how it made it onto 8th gen. Actually sat as a PlayStation 3 exclusive for a very long time, and it's quite a love letter to the side-scrolling beat-em-up genre, but it also doesn't shy away from some RPG-like complication. Our characters are leveled, every player has a different moveset, and there is a full-blown emphasis on 4-player local co-op. Its main strengths are adorable, amazing retro graphics and quite a plucky soundtrack, and you've got some quite detailed combat mechanics, including a guard, loads of stuff to pick up and throw around, and detailed enemy types. Part 1 of this series featured Streets of Rage 4 in the beat-em-up slot. They are both very different games. Scott Pilgrim is slightly more fragmented in its combat flow, but it still feels like something individual within the genre. Shoot 'One Up DX. Of course you were thinking that was going to come up. From Mummy's Games as well. Quite an off-the-wall title, this one. Very indie, very unique with some of its mechanics for a shoot 'em up. Its main message, I would say, is to collect multiple ships, which allows you to then increase the size of your cluster and get a bigger beam coming out of your cannon. Controlling the size of your cluster is done on R2 and L2. Being big and massive means that you deliver loads of damage, but you are vulnerable to clattering something. Why have I chosen it for the Legacy list? I really like its art style. Obviously that music's amazing. I find it quite refreshing because I was into this set of games a very long time ago on the Spectrum's Amigas, and you do get that vibe of it, but they've thrown in some modern techniques and they've added that local, which works surprisingly well within the game format. People change your direction, you get choices on whether you want to go after a boss, and the bosses are probably one of the things that steals the show. Yes, there is one with a set of bosoms. No, it is not Mary Elizabeth Winstead. The top 9th gen top-down shoot-'em-up that I've played in recent years, I feel, is Signy, All Guns Blazing. I'll link that, annotate everything, because it is so worth looking at. Also went free on Epic Store a while ago. There is also an R-Type game, which I need to dig up and get onto the channel pretty soon. I've seen it on that PlayStation Deluxe subscription. Keeping it extremely retro, it is of course Blazing Chrome, one of my favourite Contra clones. This is going right back to that late 80s, early 90s, first generation console feel. It is quite a difficult game, only sports 2-player, but you do have some unlockable characters and that awesome map select overhead. I also have footage of the Battletoads tribute level, which is as tough as it sounds. The game does not do a lot wrong, giving you amazing bosses, awesome power-ups, a massive immunity roll, which is down an X. That adds a bit of spice to things, but it's the relentless difficulty, the no health bar, the one hit and you're over. You can also commandeer mechs and really have an amazing time with the hanging mechanics. There are a lot of Contra similarities. The Contra series has actually put out quite a good new modern local side-scroller, which I will get on the channel at some point. The demo got reviewed. I'll link to that. There is something extremely relentless about the game. Its art style and sound are really a predominant feature, and the controls are interesting, giving you a lock move button. If you played Cuphead, you know what I'm talking about. That R1 makes you not run left or right, and you can control the direction of your firing, which is all 8 arcs on this, which is pretty cool. Combine that with some very awesome and varied power-ups, including stuff that protects you, massive ray guns, rocket launchers. You'll never really play the same level twice in that respect. This is taking the run and gun slot on the list as opposed to platforming, and part 1 featured Hunt Down as the top game on the list, and of course one of the classic retro 2-player local run and gun platforming games, which has had a sequel announced that's not local co-op. What the actual... It is now time for our racer category. This is actually technically a ranked list. I'm scoring it on how much fun we had in a session. This is Lewis helping me out, so I was keen on feedback on how much they were enjoying things. And this one turned out to be quite a lot of fun. It's the mechanics wipeout with loads of bolt on and add and XP and developing different vehicles and categories. I want you to have a think in your head about what year this game could have come out after clapping eyes on this footage. It's got drum and bass, it's got driving on the ceiling, it's got weapons, it's got boosts, it's got AI, a lot of different tracks and difficulties and variables. The split screen on this game is stunning. What year, Coop? What year? 2016. This game is 10 years old. There was a remote control car that did that tumble thing, right? That could drive regardless of what way up it was. Pretty sure I might have dreamt that. Knuckling down with this game is actually incredibly difficult because it's so unpredictable and we are relatively noob with it. I was saying, imagine if this was an esport. It'd be one of the most ridiculous things to try and measure because stuff happens on that track that you have absolutely no control of. That is half the joy of the game, to be honest. Lewis found himself marooned in sections of the map we didn't even know could be accessed. You will be more than familiar with the weapon setup. It gives you that lock on if you get close enough, and there are shields to put on the front and back of your vehicle. And talking of the vehicles, they are not all wheel based. You can switch out and go full flyer. Wipeout Amiga Collection came out exactly 1 year later, so this thing was breaking grounds on a split screen level on 8th gen slightly earlier than that mammoth, and that game took the slot in my part 1 video. It is worth mentioning after every race, even in the split screen mode with grip, you are greeted with a notification saying there's something new unlocked in that garage. One of the vehicle types you're using has got an upgraded or higher tier model available, so there's that incentive to keep going and keep seeing these new cool cars and and spaceships. You can also switch the variables to tournament or versus or co-op, and that goes a long way, particularly with that experience system. It all gives you huge incentive to keep playing. Oh, Coop's hitting them with the big guns. It is Enter the Gungeon, and this is my twin stick slot. One of the better intros to a indie roguelike. What an absolute classic. And got sequeled, sort of. We'll cross that bridge another time. Choosing the local co-op isn't without its nuances. You actually have to go over to the ghost. He has a slightly different weapon, and that character choice is locked on the second player. That one's always baffled me. Winner of countless awards and featuring at the top of numerous lists when I first started this channel. It's an absolute bedrock classic for people who enjoy local co-op, enjoy a challenge, want to get involved with an exciting roguelike model, and delve into, I think, over 200 different weapons. That is the name of the game. Guns everywhere, all the time, on everything. This game is pretty old school, and it is quite strict with a lot of its progression rules. You've got to defeat the first boss without taking a single hit to be able to open the floor to the next level. It also re-rolls up to 3 bosses on that first stage potentially. There are some differences with the character selection for player 1. Some of them have some special moves and a different starter weapon. Everybody gets a really cool immunity roll, which is over on L1, and fire is R1, which all feels totally alien in 2026. Again, this game is from 2016 and has just reached 10 years old. They sequeled it, okay, let's deal with that now, and it's an online version. There's no real local co-op. I think fans of the channel, people who have been around in the 8th and 9th gen local co-op sphere for a while, have been craving a proper sequel in this original format from these guys. They need to do that. Cuphead, get your shit together as well. I think with Enter the Gungeon, it is also a very good standalone video game. I had this over on my Switch for a long time. The local co-op only increases the enjoyment of the experience, and it does cope very well with having you on edge of screen. There's not too much confusion. And I cannot stress enough how good that enemy reroll is. I had certain instances in the second stage that I'd not seen before. A weird spider mini-boss dude. And if you know the channel well, the boss at the end of this footage is that meatball thing front and center of my banner. That's how much I love Enter the Gungeon. Is there an argument for Guacamelee 2 being the best side-scrolling platformer / Metroidvania local co-op game out there? Hell yes, brothers. Blending just the right amount of combat and puzzle work along with some absolutely stunning visuals. The parallax scrolling is through the roof. This Day of the Dead Mexican vibe, all of the characters, NPCs, the whole game is an experience. When I say experience, it turned out to be a massive head scratcher for me and Lewis, and the timing thing and the communication thing. There are so many puzzles that rely on good skill work and timing and paying attention that you just really cannot relax with the game. It's absolutely intense. There's a clip coming up here that took us like 25 minutes. I'm not joking, but watching it, it just doesn't seem that taxing. It's doing it in time together. That took so long. I am not kidding. The combat needs to get a mention. They put this awesome throw mechanic in, which is almost like a bit of meta, where you can chuck stuff at each other and start literally juggling with enemies. There's also an immune roll, which you can incorporate into combat, and there is 4-player local co-op. Can you believe that? It's one of the strongest 4-player platformers out there. So this is from 2018. Original game was a few years earlier. Its art style and visuals still impress massively, and it's actually got quite a tragic and deep and intricate story involving quite a lot of teleporting around different time zones, and you'll also fluctuate universes with a singular button, which adds huge complication to some of the more easier puzzles. You'll be pleased to hear. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Fury Unleashed just about has it all. Side-scrolling, platforming, action, run and gun, roguelike, reroll systems, everything is here. This is just a stunner. It won my 2018 Game of the Local Co-op Year list. Game of the Local Co-op Year, Jeff Knightley, looking forward to that category. A small bit of couch Coop controversy with this game. I actually, confessions, never made it to Comic 2 Level 2. Can you believe this? I couldn't even do it on single player. All that is about to change in this footage. Absolutely amazing that I've finally got to open this game up properly after owning it for 9 freaking years. I just had to check. 2017. Jesus Christ. I think a decade just flew by. One of the more surprising attractions was actually the weaponry and the randomizer on the drops in the chest, what you get to wear to increase your armor and what you get to fire with. You might get rewarded an OP sword, find an amazing railgun. There's lots of things and directions to go in when you start going through that first stage to get beefed up for the final boss. On the face of it, it does feel a little bit like a twin stick because you've got a 360-degree firing arc on the other stick, but there's a little bit of auto aim, and I like to use the directional buttons. But the crux, the whole excellent addition to the platforming, is a run button that allows you to skip through the air, over gaps, increase the distance you can actually jump. Some crazy stuff can go on. Okay, here's the stage 1 boss, and we just strong-armed it, I'm pretty sure. This is an actual massive roguelike awesome local co-op game that you can take just as seriously with 2 people as you can with 1. I did not think we would see this much aesthetic change with that second comic as well, and the third comic is a frickin' Geiger Alien Hive vibe. I am gonna push for it. Cooper took you 9 years to get here, you realise that? Rome wasn't built in a day. young man. There is obviously going to be a part 3. I will pedal this one out as long as I can. My name was Couch Coop, and I look forward to seeing it down there. What was that?